Alright guys, welcome back to another Opera Omnia video where we're going to be talking about Locke and Garnet. Now this video is going to be covering the pros and cons on these two characters because I am still seeing many posts via different social media platforms asking like, who should I pull for? Should I pull for Garnet? Should I hold off and wait for Locke, or the other way around? Like, I'm still seeing these comments and I'm like, okay, I think it's about time that maybe I step in and make a video discussing these two characters so that hopefully you know, those who are still debating on whether or not they should pull for either of these two characters, if you haven't done so already with Garnet, hopefully this video will give you a better idea and maybe I can answer that question for you. Now, this video was put together with me and my good friend Kaiden. We talked about it for what, like 2 hours discussing these two characters and talking about what we think are the pros and cons to Locke and Garnet. So shout out to him. I will link his channel down in the description of this video. He's very close to 300 subs, so I know he'd greatly appreciate it if we can help him get to that point. But no, this video was definitely not done by myself. So a big thanks to him as always. Whenever we do these type of collaborations together. But yeah, no, I want to hopefully be able to help out those who are still debating, because don't get me wrong, both of these two characters are very good BT characters, especially with Garnet being a global first BT unit. It's you know, I kind of feel like this was thrown into our faces, and now because of that, people are like debating, like, should I pull for Locke? Should I be okay with Garnet? Well, we're going to be talking about everything in this video. So if you guys do enjoy the video, consider liking the video and subscribing for future Opera Omnia content. Let me know what you guys think on these two characters, whether you have pulled for Garnet, or are you still debating on it? Are you still wondering if you should pull for Locke? Just anything in general about these two characters. Like, what is it about these two characters that either you like, dislike, that you wish, I guess, like, between the two, like, which one would you actually prefer? So, and you know, there's going to be many different opinions down in the comment section of this video, based off of those who pulled for Garnet, based off of those who are waiting for Locke because of what they read up on him, so on and so forth. So, you know, let's have a discussion down in the comment section below. I'm curious to see what you guys think about with these two characters. So we're gonna first talk about Garnet. Now, Garnet's pros: she leans more towards offensive play. So the reason why we say this is because, like, Garnet, with the BT effect, with the auras that she provides, and the fact that she is able to enchant the party with two elements, it not only makes her a very good support character now, especially with the BT effect, but it also makes her very efficient as a character by herself, right? Because, like, I mean, like, she's already doing so much. She is able to enchant Slash Imperil. She is able to provide some healing via her EX ability, or whenever you use, or not some healing, but like, she is able to heal with her EX ability and her LD ability whenever you use it. You know, there is a good amount of things that she actually provides to the party and to herself to make sure that she herself is actually playing her role, not only as a support character, but being able to also support the fight in general with the damage that she now deals. So, like, Garnet, like, can definitely do a mix of a lot of things similar to what Locke does, because Locke, of course, does different things as well, but we'll get into that here in just a bit. Now, like I mentioned, she does provide great auras after her BT effect expire. So the difference between the BT effect and the gold frame debuff is just two things: brave gain and HP damage cap up, right? So when you really think about it, even though you are not getting that increase in HP damage cap up and that brave gain, what she already provides outside of the BT effect is more than enough to still carry your party in whatever fights it is that you are actually dealing. So, like, having that gold frame debuff, when you really think about it, it's almost like you're extending her BT effect, even though it's not 100% of what her BT effect does, but like the fact that she is still providing those BT effect auras to the party via a golden framed buff. Now, I think I said debuff. I meant to say buff, so I apologize. I said debuff. I'm so used to the whole gold debuff and whatnot thing. But yeah, no. With her being able to provide all of that with the buff and then with the overhead, for those who don't know, also provides party auras as well, and not only to herself. Like she provides elemental weakness, brave damage up, and guess what? She impels and enchants via her EX ability with the enchantment. HP damage up, stolen and gained max brave overflow up, and guess what? Brave gains up. It might not be the 30% that she is providing with a BT effect, but it's better than not having anything at all. So like when you really look at it with Garnet is providing something to the party, regardless if you have the BT effect or if you have that golden buff active. So you know, again, like it's just, she just like fits. It's like they made her to make sure that she is efficient throughout the entire fight. Now, she does have strong on and off turn damage. Obviously, whenever she's going up against AoE units or more than 2 units or enemies, excuse me, on the field, she is going to be dishing out some very good damage because the amount of brave hits, and then of course the HP dumps that you got, and then of course you have that follow-up attack with the overhead after it reaches 4 stacks, regardless if it's her turn, your teammate's turn, or the enemy's turns. Once it hits that 4 stacks, she is dishing out a very powerful attack. So, you know, she, again, like she covers so much within her entire kit and what she does for the party, aside from the supportive auras that she actually provides. Now, the cons to Garnet is that with her BT effect lasts for what? Let me see if I can pull this image up that I just had. Her BT effect lasts for 8 turns, and then you got that gold framed buff. I'm trying not to say debuff, but I'm so used to saying debuff. So with that being said, her skill 2 does actually have some high turn rate. And if you are trying to extend the BT effect or the gold frame buff, you got to make sure that you pair her up with characters that is able to turn hog a little bit, that is able to make it so that Garnet doesn't really get a turn, but they other characters are getting their turns more often than she is. So that way you can extend that BT effect or the gold buff as long as you can. Her skill 1 does have a little bit of turn rate as well, but it's actually based off of a speed up passive that she gets, I believe, from her weapon passive, or it's from the character boards. But either ways, though, it can potentially hurt her because like she'll jump in a turn order, and guess what? That's going to be a decrease in that BT effect. Now, she has no HP regen aside from the one-time heals from her EX and LD ability, but you can actually get around with that and heal if you have a Theodor's sphere attached to her. So if we take a look at Theodor's sphere, let me see if I can find it real quick on the Cydia compendium. Let's see here. We're going to spheres. So his sphere, when breaking or attacking a broken target, heals the party's HP by 5% of their max HP. And guess what? That sphere is actually really good for her and it will help out in being able to provide additional HP heals, especially because she does have that follow-up. And then whenever she's attacking in general, with her skill 1, skill 2, whatever, she is going to be providing, even if it's a small percentage, it's better than nothing. So, you know, if you don't have that sphere, then that is one little con that you could talk about with Garnet. Now, another thing is going to be the damage fluctuation between single and multi targets. Now, obviously, for those who have already experienced Garnet or have seen some gameplay, Garnet excels when going up against 2 or more enemies because her abilities are AoE type of abilities, right? Like her skill 1 does an AoE, her skill 2 does AoE, the LD AoE. But when you're going up against a single target, even though you may get an increase in the amount of brave damage that you're dealing with, let's say just like your skills in general, like when you really look at it, like you may or may not actually reach the highest amount of HP damage cap that she could potentially deal, right? And then of course it also depends on the fight, and then like whatever reductions, if we do encounter reduction, you know, it just depends on a whole bunch of things. So she excels a whole lot more when it comes to fighting against 2 or more enemies. Now, with her buffs and her debuffs, remember, what she provides and inflicts are not framed, so they can actually be pushed off either by an enemy, especially if they love to inflict you with debuffs, or an ally. Like take example Penelo, right? Like let's just throw the example out there, right? Like Penelo, she has a lot of buffs that she provides to the party, so that will be pushing out a lot of the buffs that Garnet is providing either to herself or the party, especially with like Penelo, which I know, I mean, you know, it's an example. Like I said, it's an example. But like, especially if Penelo uses LD, guess what? All of those buffs become framed. And since we can only have a maximum amount of buffs per character being 6, it may hurt. And, you know, there's a few other characters that do provide buffs and whatnot. So like, when it comes to pairing up, like say another character that does provide buffs with Garnet, depending on the amount of buffs that they provide, could actually hurt her in the long run. And of course, the same with the enemy, you know, depending on the amount of debuffs that they inflict, you will have to constantly be reapplying your buffs over and over, especially if those debuffs are framed. Then, you know, either you have somebody that is able to dispel them or call abilities or something, right? So, you know, just a little something that you can think about with Garnet. Now, with Locke, his pros is that he leans more towards reckless gameplay so long as you have the BT effect active. Now, when I say this, and Kaiden actually brought this up, so with Locke, his BT effect makes it so that you are able to not get broken. You have that defense ignore on your brave hits, and then you do get some healing whenever you fall below 50% of the max HP for either him or your teammate. So, and he is able to recover right back up to the 50% mark of the HP that your character or your teammates have, right? So when you really look at it, like, having his BT effect active just makes you just want to just straight up go in just as much as you would if you had Garnet on the team, because like you pretty much feel like not invincible, right? But like you feel like you can pretty much dish out whatever you want, whenever you want, and you'll be just fine. But of course, there are some cons to that, which we'll get into here in just a bit. So he does lean more towards that reckless type of gameplay where, like, you know, if you're not too concerned about let's say getting hit by the enemy by their HP attacks or whatever, if you feel confident enough that his BT effect with the party heals is more than enough for you, then, like, you know, Locke would not be a bad option to actually bring in. Now, with the right setup, aka the buffs, he can dish out that high damage via that upgraded HP attack command, or his LD and EX ability. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I think I might have, I don't know. Locke, right? He was one of the 3 characters to dish out up to, or potentially dish out up to 1 mil in damage, so long as you have the correct buffs active, which is Genji Glove and the Master Scrolls, right? As long as you have that active, then you'll be able to dish out that massive HP 8 HP dumps onto the character. So Locke is definitely, in my opinion, when it comes to like actually using him, aside from his skill 2 that does deal the AoE damage, and I think his LD only does single target. Oh no, it does AoE as well. So like Locke definitely leans more towards like that reckless character, like that more offensive type of character as well, where you feel pretty confident to just go in and whatnot. And like, especially as long as you have the right or the correct buffs active, then you are able to dish out some very good damage, not only from that HP command, but also from his LD and his EX ability. Now, like I mentioned not too long ago, he does provide healing with his BT effect and his skill 2. Now, that's one of the differences between like Garnet and Locke is the fact that, like, you know, with Locke, again, when it comes to the reckless gameplay, you can actually go in as much as you want, as long as, let's say, the enemy doesn't hit you with like more than like 1 or 2 HP dumps, and especially depending on the amount of HP damage that they actually deal, you know, can actually determine what is going to happen. We'll get into that here in just a second. But no, again, it just like proves that like with Locke, being able to, one, not get broken, he provides party healing whenever you go down below 50%, and him and his teammates will be able to deal increased damage with his BT effect or with the defense ignore on the Bravest. Just shows that like he is more towards the utility side when it comes to providing your teammates with all of these good things from his BT effect. And of course, with him now getting his C90 and having access to his LD ability with that HP command, he will be able to dish out a whole lot more damage. Now, the cons about him is that he cannot deal off-turn damage. Garnet can. He cannot. Again, which is why I say he is more towards the utility type of character and DPS at the same time. But utility, you know, if you have that BT effect active on him, then definitely he is more towards the utility type of character, followed up with the DPS role on him. It would have been nice if he got off-turn damage, but again, like he is more towards like, hey, guess what? Like, I'm gonna not only help out your, you know, the potential other support character that you're gonna have in the team, but I'm also gonna help out your DPS character as well, to make sure that they are dealing the damage that they need to, while Locke is there to basically, in a way, like set himself up, especially if you're more towards leaning on getting his big high or his high damage dealing HP attack command. Then you know, he's kind of like there, like, okay, you guys went good, I'm gonna be right there behind you guys, and I'm gonna deal some damage while or I'm gonna set up before I deal that great damage that he does. Now, the damage won't be consistent due to some RNG. Now, that's the thing about his Genji Glove and Master Scrolls HP upgraded attack, right? Is that you actually need to have the Genji Glove and the Master Scrolls active, and like to get these to get the buffs, right? Or to get this attack again, you have to play a little bit of RNG, because like with his skill 1, if I'm not mistaken, let me double check real quick because I have actually forgotten. Yeah, so with his skill 1, Sneak / Plus, he will grant either Genji Glove or Miracle Shoes for 5 turns. So like you have to play with a little bit of RNG and hope that you actually get the correct buff to actually trigger that powerful HP command. Now, his EX ability, if I'm not mistaken, also grants the Master Scrolls as well. So like you pretty much are hoping that you can get that Genji Gloves, so that way you can have access to that powerful HP command. It's either that, or if you want, you could just use LD to actually get those 2 buffs immediately. But I mean, like, you only have 4 uses of his LD, so afterwards you would have to play with a little bit of RNG with him. But either ways though, regardless of all that, if you don't have an issue when it comes to that RNG on hopefully getting one of the other 2 buffs, or whichever ones that you need, then, you know, the reward out of that is going to be really good, because you're dishing out a crap ton of damage out of Locke with that upgraded HP command. Now, like I was talking about earlier, he cannot stop high HP damage that is higher than the target's HP, meaning that let's say if your teammates are right at 50%, right? They have, let's say they have 7k HP, right? Out of the 14k that they have. So if the enemy all of a sudden hits you with multiple HP attacks or a very high damage dealing HP attack, then your teammates are pretty much screwed. They're going to go down. And that's the thing that I kind of wish that they would have gave Locke is Party Last Stand. Party Last Stand would have been fantastic to have on Locke, because that would actually back up that whole party healing, so that way, in case you get hit by a high damage dealing attack, then with that last standing attached to Locke, that, you know, it would have helped them survive that 1 HP attack. But if you are receiving multiple HP attacks, Locke more than likely is not going to help you, because he's not going to be recovering HP back to back to back. You know, it's like similar to, like, say other characters that do have last stand, right? After the first HP dump, like, you're gonna go down, especially if they're slapping you with multiple HP dumps. So you have to be careful. And there are a few characters that do provide party last stand. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Porm actually provides that. Let me double check real quick. Let's see here. It is not that one. It is definitely not that one. I forget which one. I'd have to. What I'll do is I will post it down in a pinned comment. Oh, no. Here we go. From her LD ability. So the LD ability buff Twin Conviction would actually be a nice pairing with Locke, so long as they don't hit you with multiple HP dumps, because that buff prevents KO if HP is at least 50% of max HP and leaves HP value at 1. So Porm and Locke would actually not be a bad pairing together, especially if you're trying to do that reckless gameplay where you are just trying to go all in, and you have your DPS characters just not having a care in the world. Then actually pairing up a strong DPS character with like Porm and Locke would actually not be a bad idea, especially if you're trying to do that reckless gameplay. So you know, again, like Locke and Garnet, they do have their differences and they do have their uses. You really can't go wrong with either of the two, especially having both of them together in the same party would actually not be, wouldn't even be a bad idea at all when you think about it, because like Garnet, she covers a lot of the enchantment and imperil, so that's going to be additional damage, and she does increase the amount of damage with the elemental weakness brave damage up to the party via her LD overhead, right? So she is covering a lot of that and off-turn damage as well. And then for Locke has that reckless type of gameplay where if you have the right team comms, you don't really have to worry about too much, and you could just go in and not even give a crap. So especially, you know, like my type of gameplay, normally like I bring a tank, especially if I know the enemy is going to be spamming me with HP attacks, then like not having a tank and then having his BT effect active alongside with, like, say Porm and Machina. Let's take for example Machina, right? You know, having that team together would be really nice, because like you got that BT effect active from Locke, you got that potential 1 mil damage from his upgraded HP attack. You have Porm, who is able to provide some strong auras as well, that brave gain up as well, which Locke does not provide, but Porm can actually do that, right? And she provides that party last stand via her LD buff. And of course, Machina is just, it's Machina. I mean, he's there to deal damage. He's there to slap around some enemies. So yeah. I mean, hopefully this video kind of gave you a better idea of like which one of these two you should like either go for or decide to green or whatever it is that you want to do. Honestly, like you you can't go wrong with either of the two. I mean, having both of them together is just going to be disgusting. I mean, let's be real. But you really can't go wrong with either of the two. From what I have seen so far, like between the community and whatnot, like, you know, a lot of players, there are a good amount of players that are still waiting for Locke, but there are a good amount of players that are very much satisfied with Garnet, that they're passing up on Locke. So, like I said, hopefully this video helps you out. Hopefully you have a, I guess, can I say better understanding? No, hopefully this video helps you and potentially helping you decide whether or not you want to chase for either of these two if you have not pulled Garnet's BT yet, because I believe there's still like one more banner for her week, well, like 2 weeks of synergy or whatnot. There might be another one, I can't remember. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Again, hopefully this video helped. And let's start a discussion, like I mentioned earlier in the video, down in the comments below as well. Like, what do you guys think about these two characters? Would either of these two characters actually fit in your team comps, in your gameplay style, whatever? Let's talk about it down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.